to Focus with Renee here on Capital TV. My name is Renee Gamal, and we've just celebrated World Mental Health Day, a day when the spotlight really is on mental health around the world. Now, we've seen the statistics, particularly coming out of the US and more increasingly here in Kenya, of the number of people that are estimated to live with mental health diseases. And those numbers vary depending on who it is that you look at. But more important than the numbers that vary is the individuals who live with or who are affected by mental health. Now, there is a saying that, everyone's got some degree of madness. And it's funny, but it's the use of words like those. We are all at some level mad, that serve to perpetuate a discrimination against an illness, a condition, an episode, a situation, or an experience that is happening in an organ that many of us don't understand yet, the brain. This is really about demystifying that and changing, or at least challenging, the labels around how we view and talk about mental health. Because perhaps, just perhaps, mental health is not kurogwa, witchcraft, some kind of spirit has been visited upon you. Perhaps mental health issues are environmental and beyond. And these are something that we can address in the same way that we found out that HIV was not a curse. It is a condition that people live with. And today in studio, I'm privileged to have with me Muthoni. Muthoni, you've met a number of times, or you've probably listened to a number of times because you've been to our studio. But thank you for coming once again and for commemorating this day with us. Welcome.
Thank you.
Muthoni, let's start off with your story, because I think your story is so incredible, typical in one way, but in another so reflective of our society. You are a person who lives with a condition.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it and about your experience of living with this condition.
I have lived with depression for years, for longer than I could imagine. And when I noticed something was wrong, I was only 9 going on to 10. But I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand exactly what it was all about. All I knew is that I was sad. I was always constantly sad. I was always low. But I didn't pick anything to it. And so it became so constant every single day. I'd sleep sad and wake up sad. And it was starting to get to me. And I remember at night I'd cry myself to sleep and, just wish that it would all stop, but then it didn't. And so I began to question that no, I was probably not just sad and something was actually going on, but I still didn't know what and where to exactly place it at. And at the time, no one really understood. Everyone thought I was just quiet, I was just introverted, and that was just my personality. And so I began overdosing, I began self-harm just to try and take away the pain. And every time someone would do something to me, I'd take it out on myself and I wouldn't confront them or talk to them about it. And so it became a habit, and I became so addicted to it that every time I felt sad, every time I felt disappointed, every time I felt angry, I'd beat myself up for feeling that way. And I didn't want to feel that way, and I didn't understand why I can't just snap out of it, why I can't just get myself out of it. And so I'd self-harm and I'd overdose and I'd try doing literally anything I could to just take away the pain. And the very first time that I tried to talk to my parents was when we were headed to school. They were dropping me to school, and I remember telling them that I have a suicidal friend and it's really getting to me and I don't know what to do about it. And they told me to pray for her. And that wasn't exactly the answer that I wanted to hear. I wanted them to tell me that, you know what, tell your friend to seek help. she can talk to her parents. I wanted them to give me something to cling on to, that if I went and told them that this girl was actually me, then they'd actually do something about it and help me get help. But they didn't. And at the time I was feeling extremely suicidal. And the next day my dad dropped me in school, and just before he left, I pulled up my sweater and showed him the scars on my arm. And he stopped and he just couldn't speak, and he didn't know what to say. And all I told him was, Dad, I need help. And I was doing so bad. And so they got me a counselor who I saw for about 3 sessions, and then that was it. I tried to reach out to her, and then she never contacted me again. And it happened at such a bad time because I was feeling so worthless, and I was thinking, this person who's supposed to help me doesn't want to help me anymore. And so I thought, you truly are worthless, and no one really wants to help you. No one really wants to save you. And so I just fell back into depression. By that time, I had researched, I had studied, and I knew I was depressed and I was living with depression. So I fell even deeper into depression. And that was my final year in primary school. And after that, I joined high school. And I joined high school, and I was away from home, away from the environment that I was used to, and it was far away in Athi River, 8 kilometers from the main road. There's nothing I could do, And it just dawned on me, I'm in this place, I have no help. I really have no one else to talk to apart from my sister who was in her final year. And I was so devastated because I was so deep into this, and I still hadn't gotten the help that I needed. And so my health deteriorated. I had mild asthma at the time, so I constantly was getting attacks which were linked to asthma. But eventually, when I went to hospital and I was having an attack, the doctor looked at me and told me, are you sure you're okay? Is there something going on? And I didn't know exactly what the doctor was referring to. And so she told me, what you're having is not asthma attacks. In fact, your asthma is no longer there. What you're having is panic attacks. And she started going on and on. Are you stressed? Is there anything going on? And later I discovered when depression gets bad, you start getting panic attacks because it affects your physical health as well. So you start getting the panic attacks and you start having breathing problems, which is basically what one would experience when they're having an asthmatic attack.